Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm back. I'm early again. It's life with a dog. Can't really predict. I always try and hit 7, but if he's settled down and he's got his Kong, I'm like, I just gotta jump in right now while he's, chillaxing. Hope everybody can hear me. So, I'm just gonna do a little bit of a brief recap. So, in the last part, we talked to Sophie, and she's like, go meet some of these other vampires. And we're like, fine. So the chat decided they wanted to meet Hope the Malkavian first, which we found out she was just, Malkavian. And she was running her own cam show, which would look like that she's breaking the Masquerade. But really, she's just, she was everyone in the chat. There was no breaking of the Masquerade because she was doing it all herself. And afterwards, we met the gangrel Tameka. Didn't have a whole lot of interaction with her, unfortunately. It was just sort of really brief. We met her, we talked about her sire Jezebel, and then she's like, come talk to me later. And then finally, the chat decided that we wanted to go meet D'Angelo, the Nosferatu, who's investigating the killings in Red Hook, killings of kine, and he thinks they're being done by the Thin Bloods. And so we're supposed to go meet the Thin Blood Primogen, who we did meet at the gallery before. He was wearing like a running jacket, like a Lacoste running jacket. And now we are going to go meet him. Don't mind if you can hear my dog in the background. He is chewing on his Kong, and he has another chewy thing in his crate, so he might be noisy. So let's just jump right into it. I'm super excited to find out who's killing these kine. You take a step back and look around the area. The lit-up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention. His and no one else's. Right, his name was Larson. Or I'm not sure if I think it's his last name. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you are suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. I don't need to take the feeding opportunity because I don't have any blood hanging around my thingy. And I wouldn't want to take a feeding opportunity with a Rottweiler. That seems like a dumb idea. So let's just throw a small rock at the window. Let's just ring the doorbell. Seeing no point in beating around the bush, you walk right up to the door and ring the bell. D'Angelo wobbles up behind you in a comical attempt to remain stealthy. What the hell, kid? I mean, there's taking a direct approach, and then there's being a complete fucking idiot. He likes me. We met him. I don't remember that you told me not to be direct. Before you are able to explain yourself, you hear footsteps from inside the house. It sounds like someone is coming down the steps towards the front door. D'Angelo bites his lip and lets out a noise that sounds like a cricket dying of throat cancer. You're guessing it was supposed to be an annoyed grunt. The door swings open and a very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck stands before you. You begin to wonder how a guy like that made it on the council this long. Even for a thin blood, he looks extremely unimpressive. The man gives you a puzzled look, then looks to D'Angelo. His face twists into a disgusted frown, like he just smelled a particularly nasty fart. Yeah, this guy. We know him. He liked us. What the fuck, D'Angelo? I don't know what accent to give him. I know, I can explain. Explain my ass. This is my home, do you understand? Home, where my children sleep? Oh, that's right, because he's the Thin Blood Primogen. He can procreate, he can have children. As if on cue, a child's voice can be heard coming from upstairs. Dad? It's okay, Bobby. Daddy's helping someone. You get back to bed now. I'll be right over to tuck you in. Once more, the house grows silent. Larson lets out a sigh and turns back towards you. He is not a happy camper. Get the hell out of my house. You glance over to D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. Okay. I am gonna say not before you talk to us. I already rang the doorbell. I already committed to the direct approach, so I'm gonna keep on committing, I guess. Not until you tell us what we want to know. Larson pierces you with his gaze. You can tell he's trying very hard not to go off. Finally, he takes a deep breath and buckles. I hit continue. With that, he locks the front door and leads you several steps away from the porch. It's about the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible. Bullshit. A Duskborn's got enough trouble just staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade? Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching, trying to find a scapegoat, get in your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me. What if it turns out what if it turns out one of yours did it and you sat on your hands to protect him even? You think the council won't jump on that? He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around. Consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is. Hi, Elizabeth. It's okay you're only here for a few minutes. I understand. Life is busy. Oh. Deal. We are meeting the Thin Blood Primogen to try and figure out who's murdering the Kine in Red Hook. And he has children, because I totally forgot that Thin Bloods can even, procreate. Good. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. You decide it's best to move along. You walk a couple blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I sure could use a drink, something warm, in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tally your score. Let's see now. You did make a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets? Not so much. You held your own at the crime scene, nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. I got a thing. Sweet smell of success. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office. Yeah, Thin Blood's procreating reminds me of Twilight. Don't get me started about Twilight. Don't. If you like it, I apologize. I like my vampires with a little more grit, you know what I mean? He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back towards you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one. I am not your assistant, okay? No way. All right, so. Do we have to rest? Can I not? I need to rest, okay. So I don't get to go pick to see somebody else. You're walking down the street towards your haven. In some other town, the sidewalks would be deserted this time of night. In New York City, there are plenty of passerbys going about their business. Grammar. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The kindred have many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible, indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters, all look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker or a kindred thrall tailing your movements? Are you like Jacob in the books? You're Team Jacob? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car, ordinary cops, or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? Why not both? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt like this. Whatever this is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is tailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon, and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that someone might know where you sleep. We know lots of people who know where we sleep. Sophie and Gregory, for 2. Okay, so I've rested. As you wake from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. Please let it be Kadir, please. Jacob and Edward ditching Bella and having a bromance. That would have been a much better ending. I agree. No, it's Kaiser's lackey, whom you met recently, Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. You can tell he's guarded and suspicious after what you made him do the last time you met. His hands are out of his pockets, though, a sign of goodwill. That's close enough. Says who? Let me guess, Kaiser sent you? This is not a social visit? Don't say his name out loud, idiot. He takes a look around just to make sure nobody's listening in on your conversation. Yeah, he sent me. I'm supposed to give you this. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. I don't remember what accent I gave Jackie, so I just made up a new one. Read it, memorize it, then give it back here. It's a letter. The paper might be just a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, "Time to square the debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negro Amaro." Okay, I assume that's a wine of some kind. When they tell you they don't have it, say you are a Fedele Servitore della Famiglia G. I'm a feudal servant of the G family. Okay. Or indentured servant, I think that means. I don't know much Latin, just a little. Those exact fucking words, and make sure you get the G right. Or maybe that's Italian, I'm not sure. You'll get a bottle, just take it and leave it by saying grazie. Don't ask how much it is or anything else, just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie boy here and let him know. You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over. I hope I remember the name of the wine. What's all this cloak and dagger nonsense? Letters? Passwords? That's how the boss likes it. And who am I to argue? I just do what he says. You about done with the letter? This is a reference to Grange Hill, a TV series in the 90s in the UK where the drug dealer was called Kaiser. That's super interesting. I did not know that. You note the phrases mentioned in the letter and the address, then hand the letter back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns it, putting out the ashes with his boot, because this is Mission Impossible. Dun, 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 dun. This letter will explode in 5 seconds. Okay. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. Oh my god. I'll be in that alley over there, so find me when you have the item, whatever it is. I don't know, and the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care, so I don't. See ya. He shuffles, my dog is being so loud with his Kong. He shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead in the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting the local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night, but curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small, middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of an entire wall of wine bottles. There's a door at the end of the room with a small table and a chair occupied by a man with slick, comb-backed hair who's dressed in a black faux leather jacket. Ding-a-ling! He's reading a newspaper but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small steaming cup, then gets back to his broadsheet. Speaking of steaming cups, I have tea again. So gross. Oh, Cloud says hello to your doggo, Elizabeth. What's your doggo's name? Proprietor. Good evening. How can I help? Be direct. Tell her a friend sent you, I guess. A friend told me that this is the place to get a bottle of the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negro Amaro. Is that right? I'm glad she remembered. She gives you a curious look. No, I'm sorry. I don't think we have that one. Your friend must have been thinking about our 1920 Special Reserve Negro Amaro. She turns to take a weathered bottle off the shelf behind her. I'll recite the phrase straight and simple. Yes. I am a fedeli servitore della famiglia G. Ah, in that case, let me see if we have any in the back. Wait here, please. Hi, Skeleton King. Some events are too dangerous? I hope so. I'm ready for a little danger. The woman leaves the counter and goes to the doors in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. Just wait. They didn't say to do anything else in the note, so just wait. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter, and you just keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. Your dog's name is Zoe? Oh, that's so cute. Cloud is a boy. The doors to the back of the store open and the proprietor, I hate that word, emerges with a small, unlabeled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologizing smile. Scusi, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. You do know what this is, don't you? I don't remember what he said. If he said to say it's wine. I could just use presents. Yeah, let's just use presents. You focus your blood and you immediately see both of the people in the shop focus intently on you and what you're about to say. I know exactly what this is, and I'm the right person to give it to. The woman gives you the bottle without hesitation. Grazie. Deciding you... Yeah, because he said just to say grazie, but I don't know. Deciding you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store, then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows you as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking spot, but finally you get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways, just under 2 hours ago. Really? It took me 2 hours? New York City traffic is horrible. Bye, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming to the stream. Appreciate it. Just move my setup a little bit. It's in my way. Got the goods? Sure I do. Cool. Stand by. Gotta make the call. He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carry the last time. Hey, boss. Yeah, they have it. Where do I point them to? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell them to go there right away. He puts the phone back inside his pocket and turns back to you. Willets Point, half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around. With just a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. You had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willets Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realize that if you go any further down, the potholes are going to kill your chassis. Tea time. Yuck. You step out into one of those gashes in the asphalt, splashing in ankle-deep water. Or the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. I love this. Feeding opportunity, bar owner, yes. Take it. This is too perfect of an opportunity to not take advantage of. She's walking to her car, ready to call it a night, when you sneak up on her. She's far too tired to resist your strong hold and swift bite. You can taste the caffeine in her veins, smell the cheap cigarettes in her hair, the old cooking grease in her clothes. She passes out, your assault the closing note of a long day at work. Good job, me. You let her down gently and feel a pang of remorse. Now I don't. You pick up the car. I'm a Ventrue. You pick up the car keys she dropped and place in her driver's seat. She'll find an explanation for passing out like this for sure. I'm a Ventrue. I don't feel remorse. The bright lights of a car pulling up down the road illuminate you as you close the door. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car doors open, but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser is visible the first time you look inside. You sit... Oh, he's not using obfuscate this time? How nice of him. You sit down and close the door behind you. So, you pulled it off without a hitch, then. Give it here. You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncorks it, excuse me, gently, and takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. Yeah, that's the stuff. See, that wasn't so hard. Consider your debt paid. Oh yeah, and also have this. It's what Langley wanted. He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. Now we're even. Yep, that's what I'm gonna say, because I don't want to be nice to him, 'cause I don't like him. Even though he's a Nosferatu, I don't like him. Excuse me. Sure, Fledgling. If that's the way you want to see it, I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Cash me outside, how about that? Time for you to get out. Now. He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out back onto the torn asphalt and decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh, and you realize Sophie's having a guest over. Thomas Arturo. Oh, I don't like him. He's weird. You met in Elysium a few nights back. That shriek is unmistakable.
Ah, Huddy. So glad to see you. Tell me, did you two have a chance to talk before?
Thomas speaks out before you can. Why, yes, of course. And such a good first impression you made, too. Miss Langley clearly did the right thing by taking you under her wing. I'm sure she thinks so, too. Don't you, Sophie?
Why, of course,
Of course you do. Of course. Well, I believe I got to be going. I'll be sure to let Prince Panhard know your thoughts, Miss Langley. Word for word, or as close as I can remember them.
I appreciate it, Thomas.
You two enjoy your night now. Good night, Sophie, Huddy, Greggy boy. He gives you a sly smile. Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The doors close. What a creep. I'm gonna say that because I don't like him. I think he's a creep. Guy's a creep.
I wouldn't be so harsh, Fledgling, but it does take some getting used to, certainly. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen. It's useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. Speaking of patience, you have been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for?
Yes, but I had to do another job for him. The data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him before he gave me his card. Or this card, excuse me. She retrieves the envelope from you.
I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience.
I had to deal with his servant first. Yeah. He's got a servant named Jackie. He was a pain to deal with.
I hear all of his ghouls are like that. The apple never falls far from the tree, it would seem.
She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw on Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen.
Yes, excellent. I need to call on some favors. I will likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my dear charge. I will contact you soon.
With that, Sophie ushers you outside as... what? With that, Sophie ushers you outside. You are left to do with the rest of this night's hours as you like. I don't know what they're trying to say in that sentence. Okay, so... we could... Who is this? Recently, you feel like somebody's tailing you. Time to confirm your suspicions. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine. We still have to do that. Meet Agathon the Tremere. Go meet Hope again. Go meet D'Angelo again. Or go meet Tameka. I would like to go meet them again because they were super fun. Especially Hope. But I do want to do something different. So, I think we should go meet Agathon the Tremere. I think that's what we should do. Hope that's okay with everybody in the chat. Don't mind my dog if you hear him whining. I give him like a frozen Kong, and sometimes he gives himself brain freeze when he eats it too fast. Oh. Let's go meet a blood sorcerer. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from, Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey. Really? Anton LaVey, the leader of... What was he the leader of? The Church of Satan or something like that? The Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than what you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, is that appearances can be deceiving. Ring ring. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking... hang on a second, I'm gonna check on my dog. He's fine. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. I'm here for occult advice. You got enough stuff about it, you should be able to tell me something. This is my attempt at being, like, subtle, which doesn't ever work. Hi, I'm here about a mystical problem. I need some occult advice, you could say. The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Ooh, hello. Hi, I like your jacket. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it becomes apparent. Blood. Oh, I like this little guy here. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. Aisling Sturbridge, right. She's Agathon's sire, right? I think so.
I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Huddy, correct? I have to say you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. So that occult advice line was cute, but unless you have something important, and I do mean important, to relay, I'm afraid I don't have a lot of time to spare.
Huh, High Regent sounds important. Hiding above an occult bookstore? Really? I'll just ask how I know how I am, because this makes me sound like a jerk, and this makes me sound petulant, so I'll just say the middle one.
How do you know who I am? Well, for one thing, knowing who's who in this city is one of my duties as High Regent. But more importantly, you've been on the mind of many a kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite a precedent, as I'm sure you know, a first under Prince Panhard, and for Sophie to be the one to do it, curiouser and curiouser. Still, I'm sure you haven't come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise.
Sophie mentioned Agathon to me. Sophie suggested I should meet Agathon. She said he's quite knowledgeable.
Did she now?
Aisling looks you up and down. Her countenance seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said.
That's new.
Suddenly, a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor?
Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact.
Is that so? Let me introduce myself. I'm looking for allies, yes. I was wondering if you'd consider teaming up. Why do I have to sound like that? What are we, the Avengers? My God. Teaming up. He seems very confused by the notion, as are we all, I'm sure, because I have mouth diarrhea, apparently. What for?
For the company, what else?
I could use your knowledge, yes. Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like yourself could teach me a lot, I imagine. You're not wrong. He turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? She looks you over as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable.
Actually, my child, I would consider giving this one a chance to prove their worth.
Oh? She addresses you.
I am trying to understand why Langley took an interest in you, Huddy. I might have caught a glimpse of her reasoning. I think you may be of aid to Agathon in his current task. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after?
Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes, if there's anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. What's the rush? What research? That research sounds pretty important. What's it about? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. It's important to us, and that's all you need to know. My dog is, really whining. Hang on a second. I don't know what's going on with him today. Must be a full moon. Disgusting tea. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? On second thought, not interested. Sure, let's go. Let's do this. I'm so ready. Very well. He gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Huddy, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return, and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. Like what, a broom? You drive south, heading steely gaze, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. I'll just stay quiet. You decide not to disturb his thoughts and are surprised that it's him who breaks the silence as you're about halfway over the East River. I'd rather be out with Aisling. She seems way cooler than him. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York, yet you seek me out specifically. Why? Dunno, just give it a shot. Sophie spoke highly of you. Oh, my dog. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, you guys. Do you have the burps? Just did a huge burp. I don't know. I'm always gonna drink really, really loudly behind me. This is the best stream ever. Professional YouTuber me. Just give me a minute. Are you thirsty? Clearly, huh? Yeah? Okay. For one, Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet. You were on it. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg to stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. How am I supposed to do that? You recognize the place. It's where you were embraced a mere few nights back. That's great. Whoa. Oh. I'm so sorry. I seriously need to Google if it's a full boot tonight because he's acted crazy. Okay, so he's taking us back to where we were embraced. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead. I'm right behind you. Oh, this looks familiar. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. Let us in. We insist. Oh, but we insist. You will let us enter the VIP lobby and stay there for as long as we like. But, of course. Please, come in. You walk in trying to look casual and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. This is a familiar sight, the same place where you had your last meal as a mortal. Strange. You should feel something, but the lavishly decorated room looks almost plain to you. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Who's Juno? I'll just say it looks like she's gone because I want to seem smart like him. Whoever Juno is, looks like she's no longer here. A flash of fury sparks in his eyes. Yeah, no kidding. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? Oh, excuse me. He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool, and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes the deep red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. Wow. All right. What follows is more disturbing yet. I'm not attracted to him either. I like his sire, though. She's cute. With one hand, he sheaths the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Suddenly, the door swings open and the manager storms in, ready to raise hell. The initial haze must have worn off quicker than usual. Crap. Let's argue with him to buy some time. You start a shouting match with the manager. He seems almost happy to oblige. You can tell he's dealt with problematic customers before. You go back and forth for a while until his face becomes red and his voice grows hoarse. At some point, he looks just about ready to throw the first punch. That's when Agathon finally gets up off the floor. He shakes his head and casually walks over to the sofa, picking up something from between the cracks in the upholstery. We're done here. Let's go. Who the hell do you think you are? Get out of my restaurant this instant. Not wanting to make the situation any worse, you walk out sheepishly. The manager follows you all the way to the elevator, shouting and cursing. Agathon doesn't seem particularly fazed by any of this. The restaurant staff throw you some curious glances as you walk towards the elevator, but wisely decide not to bother you. The ride down feels tense. You half expect to see a police car waiting outside. That would be funny. Agathon only seems to relax once you're back in his car. He starts the engine and takes a right at the Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge towards Manhattan. You're just about to say something, but Agathon beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough. Thanks, I guess. I can do more, you know? I can do more than watch your back while you're channeling Madame Blavatsky. I don't know what that reference is, honestly. Can you now? I guess we'll find out next time. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence. Ooh, enchanted to meet you. It doesn't take you long to reach the warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts, hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Okay, and I need to rest before I can go visit anyone else, right? Okay. Who's the fat guy? Who'd this? There's a sleazy reporter from a gossip magazine sniffing around Sophie's haven. She could use your help with the problem. No. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna start Faith and Myth. We're gonna go visit the guy who gave us the invitation. That is the first thing we're gonna do, because I want to. You haven't been to a church since you became a vampire, or kindred as the euphemism goes. You've had to focus on concrete, practical things like survival and feeding. You've learned the essentials of the vampire experience, but you don't really have a clear idea of what it all means. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine is a New York landmark. You've been inside once before when you were much younger. You marveled at its Gothic facade. Looking at it now from across the street, it feels ominous. The prospect of an anonymous invitation to a secret meeting is a worrying one, but the venue is well chosen. It's hard to imagine a violent attack in a place like this with eyes everywhere. You enter the cathedral discreetly. You've quickly learned this is an essential skill for a vampire, how to move without anyone noticing you. The full force of the cathedral's architecture hits you as you walk between the pews. If the architect meant to create the feeling of being small in the face of God's glory, mission accomplished. Based on the note, you're assuming that whoever you're meeting is somewhere in the front. As you step closer to the high altar, it feels as if something is dragging at your feet, as if the stone beneath you resisted your movement. Okay. Vampires. I'll say religion is a superstition. Religion is superstition. It must be your nerves. As you try to shake the feeling of crushing foreboding, it occurs to you that vampires are a superstition too. There's an old man sitting in the front. You see only the back of his head, bowed down in silent prayer. Your footsteps echo on the floor, and he turns to look at you. You can't take your eyes off him. He's tall, dignified, white hair balding, a few strands escaping to the sides. He's wearing glasses and simple clerical clothing. His eyes are warm and pale, too kind for someone like you. Something is wrong. Yeah, well, Sophie did tell us that only people who are especially pure or holy, like they're wearing crosses and stuff, could affect us. You feel heavy, as if a giant hand was pressing you down. The skin on your face is burning. Perhaps unconsciously you expected something like this as a vampire walking into a cathedral, only it's not the building or God making you feel like you're burning alive. It's the man, the priest. Welcome, my child. I could try to do an Irish accent, but I won't. The priest's tone is kind, but the rising panic inside is telling you that kindness is not for the likes of you. Run. The man is looking straight into your soul. You turn and run the way you came, stumbling out of the cathedral. You emerge outside, confused and scared. What was that? At least you escaped unharmed. You stand on the sidewalk, confused and scared. No enemies seem to be attacking you. The priest didn't follow you. The night air is wet with the smells of the city, the same as every night. How did it feel? Looks like you should be afraid. How did it feel? Woo-wee-wee. You look at the man speaking to you. He's well-dressed, if a little archaic, dark-haired, handsome, like a character from an old movie. He smiles as if he knows something you don't. You glance around. There are people on the street. You don't appear to be in immediate danger. Who the fuck are you? Let's be blunt. Please, calm down. I'm not your enemy. Let me introduce myself. My name is, Benoit? I don't know how to say this. Benoit Segal. We share many things in common, even if you don't know me. I'm gonna call him Benoit, because I'm not sure how you say that. Offers his hand to you. I'll shake his hand. What's the harm? Benoit's handshake is firm and dry. He looks at you intently, as if trying to find something in your eyes. Would you mind sitting with me for a moment? Benoit points to a park bench nearby in darkness because of a broken streetlight. Wary, you decide to follow him. Only an enemy totally unconcerned with the masquerade would attack you here. Benoit sits down and you follow suit. For a moment, you both contemplate the cathedral in silence. Did I say it right? Is that how you say Benoit? Is that how you spell Benoit, rather? That's interesting. And is that a French name?
I know how it feels, what you felt. I have experienced it myself many times.
For a moment, you consider how to respond. It's clear Benoit sent the invitation to come here and orchestrated this little setup. I feel like punching you. I'm thinking of hitting you in the face. Do I have a reason not to?
You'll have to decide that for yourself. Let's talk a while, and if you still feel violent, I'll let you take a punch at me. I wanted you to meet Father Anthony, or see him, experience him. Did you wonder why it felt like that?
Is it a supernatural power?
No, not at all. I don't think so. It's his faith that makes you feel like that. He's safe in his belief while you are one of the damned. Do you ever wonder what's the role of a vampire in God's creation?
You stop to think. Of course you've wondered what this is all about. Whether it's about God or nature, you don't really know what being a vampire means. That's the trouble with the Masquerade. A human faced with a human problem can go online and find something that helps. You can't. The Masquerade means that everything there is to know about your condition is secret, hidden away. You're left relying on the unreliable opinions of people like Benoit. Suddenly, Benoit takes your hand and presses it against his chest. As he stares into your eyes, you feel his heart stop.
My heart no longer beats, yet I move, I talk. Is that how God intended us to be?
No, can't be. No, he didn't. I know he didn't. This is wrong.
Yes, I agree. The question is, can there be salvation for the likes of us? Sometimes I'm skeptical too, but in Father Anthony's presence I know faith is real. I know it because it hurts so much. But perhaps you have questions about faith and our kind.
Yes. What are we?
There's the usual story, which most of us believed, especially before modern times. Cain was the first murderer. As punishment, God cursed him to walk in darkness and carry his mark. Cain passed on his curse as he drank the blood of the living, and thus we were born. God's curse passed on to someone new with each embrace. Maybe it's true. We all have our lineages, our sires and the sires of our sires. If you trace those lineages all the way to the top, you find Cain, the original vampire. I suppose God is cruel. The curse perpetuates itself, leading to new evils.
This is a lot to take in. All these myths, hard to know what to believe.
I know it's overwhelming. It was for me when I first met Father Anthony. I know there are others like him, whose faith shines like a beacon, priests, old ladies, children. Anyone can have that conviction inside of them.
This is too much. You expect me to go along with all of this insanity. Benoit nods patiently.
Let's meet again in a few nights, here at the cathedral. We can talk more after you've thought it through.
You leave Benoit sitting in the shadow of the cathedral, contemplating what lies within. It would be easier to ignore his words without the reality of what you experienced. Father Anthony was holy. You know it to be true. But what does that mean? Ooh, that was fun. I enjoyed that one. Okay. Next, I would say I want to do this one. Because it feels like somebody's watching us. Let's nip that in the bud real quick. Someone is following you. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. That can't be a good thing. The only question is what to do about it. Let's not tell Sophie. Let's provoke the stalker to appear. You venture out to the street with the goal of letting your stalker know you're aware of being followed. It's time to stop this ridiculous charade. It's raining outside, and as you step onto the street in front of your haven, you wonder whether that'll help you. Will you be able to see the footprints of your stalker in puddles on the ground? Not sure where to start, you slip a few bills to a homeless man and chat up the guy who runs the local bodega. both talk your ear off about the strange characters hanging around, but none of their stories seem right to you. Walking the streets, you're by turns convinced that everyone you see is an enemy agent out to get you. So it's like those really paranoid people who believe in gang stalking. Frustrated after a couple of hours of useless searching, you cross the road without looking where you're going. A courier on a motorbike zooms towards you, not having enough time to brake or swerve as you suddenly step in his way. For a split second, your eyes meet those of the man on the bike, and you both know you'll collide. You'll get hurt. Something hits you, pushes you forward. You tumble flying to the sidewalk as the courier zooms past. You feel a weight on your back, catch a glimpse of something, a person, female you think, and then she disappears. You could spend a couple more hours trying to find the woman who's stalking you, but in your shriveled, undead heart, you know it to be futile. She's gone. That was super interesting. Okay. Now I'm curious. I want to know who's following us around. She saved our skin for some reason. Let's rest again. Ah, Kadir. He's at our haven. Oh my god. How's my makeup? Okay. Kadir al-Asmai, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door to your haven. He just couldn't stay away. I'm hot. The sight comes as more than a little shock. If he had business with you, you'd either expect him to see him already inside or never see him coming at all. Okay. Yet there he is on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. Oh my god. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening. May I come in? I want to try and do like a Russian accent for him, because I don't think I could do a Middle Eastern accent, but we'll see how it goes. You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. You have all the permission in the world. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. I can't even think of how to do a Russian accent right now. Hey, Vampire Penguin 09, I'm glad you're here. Look, my man showed up at my haven door one evening, and he's here. He couldn't stay away, you know what I'm saying? I can't think of how to do a Russian accent at the moment, so I'll try and squeeze it in if I remember. Haven't really had time to make this place your own yet, have you? It feels like Langley's apartment through and through, a secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on the shelf, obviously meant to impress the guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner aside from an aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. Hot with 2 T's, right? He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of spirit. Next to all of this garbage poetry, we can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. A kind of place self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and to rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he's made. You still see him as a fierce predator trying hard not to expose his true colors. You sense a familial fight, that should be fight or flight, response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Kadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watched any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Well, I'm not a fan of baseball at all, but that's 100% true. Born and raised in Boston. Boston people in the chat, aka Vampire Penguin 09. You know what I'm talking about. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. My reply is this. That's my reply. Ellipses, ellipses. Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything has changed forever. Waking up in hell with a body next to you, spending a night in that underground sweatbox, Unsure what's gonna happen next. That endless car ride. 3 strikes. A bloody crowd. That blade. I know. Totally hot. Go, yeah, go Sox. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a frightening executioner who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read your emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, I am, though. There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point, then. I can't do a Russian accent. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I realized over the years. In a large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhered to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see, but that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I use to operate. And so, I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, and maybe for a good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or like a Christie novel detective, like Agatha Christie, outwardly assisted by everyone, but constantly lied to about everyone's pasts and motivations, even when my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice, a voice belonging to someone who once had bigger ambitions than this. Yeah, he's a toreador. They tend to have big ambitions, for their social life at the very least. What broke him? You see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than who done it or how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course, the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder, such as conspiracies between 2 unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall, a boss serving their employee, a rebel serving the tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? Because I'm awesome, baby. Get to know me. You are surrounded by unclear motivations you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. Get to know me. I'm amazing. You unnerve me. Oh, man. Let's ask why he's here. This monologue has gone on for long enough. Why are you here? What is this about? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Kadir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to fulfill my obligations better. Great. The last time we've met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you're accepted into Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of New York City community, and as long as you're a part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. I don't want to avoid you. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who is he talking about? Kaiser? Is this about Kaiser? Kadir shakes his head. That leper is bad news if you ask me, but who doesn't trade information with him these days? No, it's not a major player. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Is this the guy who turned us? Newman? Newman? We're in New York. It's a character named Newman. Somebody like Seinfeld, I'm sorry. Benjamin Newman. The asshole who made the last few years of your life a living hell. My boss? Is it my boss? The sexual harassment, the mobbing, the way he kept delegating all his obligations to you without ever letting you reap the fruits of your work. The way he stole your soul. Goddamn prick. You look up at Kadir, expecting answers. Newman. Exactly. Apparently, your company is in trouble. I really want to try the Russian accent. Lots of financial irregularities. No, I can't. I can't do a Russian accent. And Mr. Newman is all too happy to testify that the one employee who's just suddenly disappeared is to blame. The story is as fishy as it gets, but your disappearance is being investigated, and a lot of us are searching for you. It attracts attention to us, and as such, it must be stopped. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now, like a kitty. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, disappears never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I watch over. Oh, excuse me, I had a hiccup. When neonates interact with kind they used to hold dear, their true nature is laid bare for everyone to see. Well, you're gonna see me that I don't like him, obviously. Of course, he's got business in being kind to you, or he's making it clear he's got self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring those out yourself. Any objections? Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the doors on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. Newman! Newman! For a long time, you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, thinking about how revenge is a dish best served cold. Alright. Okay, so that's for tomorrow. Alright, let's do a nosy reporter. There's a sleazy reporter from a gossip magazine sniffing around Sophie's haven. She could use your help with the problem. Let's do that. Let's go to Sophie's apartment, yes. The streetlights filter into the apartment in a stark white glow as if someone were shooting a movie outside. The art pieces display a tasteful, expensive, entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. A tasteful expense, my god. It feels as if 1,000 sins have been committed on these premises, most of them under her benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. You understand that people judge me based on how you dress, don't you? Hey, I'm dressed fine. Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. I can take care of myself. You don't have to fuss over me, Sophie. I can take care of myself. I dress fine. Turtleneck. Black turtleneck. Classic. Looks good on everyone. I'm sure you can, little fledgling. Sophie walks to the window and looks out, the streetlights playing on her features. She reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitations of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about the vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. I used to have a journalist friend. I don't know how that helps, but I'll say it anyway. Then you know what they're like. Sophie steps away from the window and settles down on a sofa, a wine glass with red liquid in it. Blood treated as not to spoil. Can you treat blood so it doesn't spoil? I did not know that. Water, nectar of the gods. You've become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any as you cautiously sit down across from her.
This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash, talked to the neighbors. Please be a dear and explain to him that there's nothing for him here.
Is this about the Masquerade? That's a big deal for us, right?
Indeed, you're learning.
This must happen often. How do you usually deal with it?
Everyone has their own way. Sometimes the problem goes away with a bit of money or sharp words. Other times you need something more.
Do you know anything about the reporter? Man, woman, young, old, anything like that?
All gossip reporters look the same to me. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to.
You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the games she plays with the city's mortal and immortal power structures, but she always seems to be making a move. Outside on the street, there's a slight warm drizzle, the kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out to you. Let's investigate the area. You start with the basics of investigative work. You ask the proprietor of the bodega around the corner, the homeless man sleeping in a nearby doorway, and the doorman of another building whether they've seen anyone strange. Detective work produces results. You get the description of a man who sounds like a reporter. Older, overweight, pasty, and in bad physical condition, professional camera. Only really professional camera gives it away that he might be a reporter. Once you know what you're looking for, it's not difficult. You spot a man who matches the description and follow him. You enter an alley, a dark, dingy space between two tall buildings. Once upon a time, a place like this might have worried you, made you think of muggings and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you are following seems to realize this too. He holds his camera in front of him like a shield, its heavy objective resting on his paunch. It's heavy objective, okay. With a start, you recognize him. You remember the face, the shaded sunglasses from a picture next to a byline in some trashy paper someone thrust in your face at a company party. His name is Frank I don't know how to say that last name. Doherty? Frank Doherty? And he'd taken pictures of one of your investors feeling up a sex worker at a nightclub. Oh my god. You'd been there too, and the funny thing was, what Doherty showed in the photo was just the tip of the iceberg. After all, work hard and play hard was the order of the day. Hey, don't go around scaring people like that. He looks like the guy from Bloodlines. What was his name? The guy, Arthur? The one who ran the Bail Bonds place?
I recognize you. Welcome to Knuckletown.
I recognize you. I don't know if I should say that. Yeah, I'll say that. You're Frank Doherty. I recognize you from that thing. You're a fake reporter, right? I'm a real reporter, damn it. A lot of scoops here in this dirty alley. You can't be a journalist if you're not willing to get your hands dirty. Do you live here? I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name is Sophie Langley. Everybody knows her in high society circles. She's a redhead, pretty as a picture, and there were a lot of pictures of her through the years. Arthur Kilpatrick, thank you, everybody. I knew his name was Arthur, but doesn't he look like him, just with shorter, lighter hair? I mean, it's a dead ringer, I swear. That's the thing, in fact. Look at this. Frank pulls out his phone and starts showing you pictures. Some have been downloaded from news sites, while others are photos from the society pages of newspapers from past decades. Yeah, that's something you run into when you're a vampire. All show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyles, makeup, names, but the face remains the same. That's strange. Well, let's find out what he thinks is going on before we get too far into this. Beats me. That's what I'm here to find out. You must have a theory. I have a theory or two, but before I print my theory, I need facts to back it up. 3 words. Extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it. Only her doctor is better than the rest. It is a brother from another mother, absolutely. It totally could. It's a East Coast Arthur Kilpatrick and the West Coast Arthur Kilpatrick. That's how I'm looking at it. You look critically at the photos on Frank's phone. No doctor is that good. You're looking for a doctor in an alley? You're thinking the world's best plastic surgeon is working out of this alley? Okay, fine. I don't know what this is about. So how would you explain it? It's a hoax. Yes. Have you considered the possibility that those pictures are a hoax? Sure, anything could be a hoax, but I dug up those old papers from the archives myself. I gotta have something usable. Ooh. Let's dominate him. Leave and destroy your research. You look Frank in the eyes. They are red behind his shaded glasses, veins popped from years of neglecting his body. Suddenly he seems soft, easy to manipulate, his will nothing but plaster crumbling under your boot. Go home and destroy your research on Sophie Langley. As your vampiric gaze takes over Frank's mind, he feels less than a person and more like an automaton, a machine you can program. Perhaps this is why older vampires are said to think of humans as nothing but animals. How can you consider someone a thinking person with free will when you can override them at any moment? Now she's really starting to sound like a Ventrue. Frank is mumbling, fondling his camera, inching around you to the entrance of the alley. He looks sad and worn as he goes, a man who used to be something, now just a shell. It feels almost embarrassing to use the powers of your blood on someone so weak. At least you're pretty sure he'll stay away. Cool, let's rest. Let's rest and let's go meet Kadir. Fangirling. Sorry. All this reading is murder on the throat. It's Moida. Knock knock, you'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, Fledgling? You don't feel you are, but you give him a nod nevertheless. Sounds like someone working in advertisement. Yeah, totally. Sounds like a line straight out of Mad Men. Excellent. Stick close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything's inside the just the way you remember it. Oh, I found so many spelling errors as I've gone through here. Down to the rearview mirror, reflecting an intense stare of your guide. That is an intense stare. I really hope he considers paying attention to the road sometimes too. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Kadir was driving you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. Goddamn Newman, you're getting violent just thinking about him. Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. Kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't ever say I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the Masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact I will know. Do treat it as the last time you two meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine, found yourself on the crossroads, decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable. The rent is too high. They've heard it all. However, you do not appreciate being accused of a crime you haven't committed, so you're back, both to clean your name and strike fear into the heart of the real culprit. By now you should know how to cause fear among the living, don't you? He smirks at you. Have fun. As long as you don't leave a mess for me to clean, we should be good. The car makes a sudden turn. I'm so into him. I don't even care. I leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see if you are worthy of his aid. We're here. You take a look around to recognize your destination. He was right. It is a familiar place. It's the office you've wasted the best years of your life in. Newman should be up there. Apparently someone is blackmailing him with documents proving his penchant for embezzlement. The poor guy is stuck in his office, and he's probably pretty shaken up. The documents don't exist, but it would be a shame if someone went there, wiped the floor with the man, found proof that he's pilfered the funds, and forced him to admit his crimes. He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for Newman's office. The elevator ride up just doesn't want to end. After what felt like 5 hours, but in reality was closer to 30 seconds, you finally reach your floor. Your ex-boss is sitting in his office just like Kadir said. He looks, how should you describe it, as if he has just Googled the body language of alpha males and attempted to poorly copy the most cartoonish posture in order to intimidate the blackmailer. Out of habit, you take a deep breath as you step inside his office. Huddy? He immediately relaxes. It's just Huddy, his eyes say as a sly grin appears beneath them. Forgot to ask for a vacation? People were worried, you know. Not to mention overworked to hell and back, and then overworked some more. Someone had to take over your responsibilities. And guess what? Just as we started digging into your work, some unexpected financial irregularities started popping up. We'll need to work on a common story to explain those, you see. You keep quiet and just stare him down. The poor idiot still thinks he's the predator in this room. Let's see how long it will take for him to realize his mistake. Newman senses you're different somehow. He attempts to stare back, but fails to withstand your glare. He starts wondering what's going on and quickly arrives at a conclusion. Wait a second. So you're the one who sent me that message? Now that's a laugh. He starts approaching you. Sweetheart, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. You think you'd convince anyone you never knew what was going on around here? Fat chance. And even if you did, you know my friends, they'd never let you live it down. He's right in front of you, licking his lips, pondering the best way to display his complete physical superiority. You won't give him a chance to. Okay. Let's not treat him as a punching bag. Throw him outside the building. Let's use presence. It's gonna really drain our blood, so we're really gonna have to feed soon, which I hope we get an opportunity to. But both of these things would probably not go well. So let's scare the shit out of him. Before Newman blinks, you stand in front of him with your arms crossed. After he blinks, your hand is already on his throat. He freezes up. He watches you get in his face and slowly brandish your long, long fangs. A loud, throaty, inhuman growl rings out throughout the office and begins to morph into a violent hiss. For a moment, your ex-boss can't identify the source of the overwhelming sound, or rather, his brain refuses to accept your relatively small body is capable of generating a noise like this. Why are we doing this? I said to use presence, did I not? Did I click the wrong thing? As he begins to understand and process the unnatural sight of your fangs, he is gradually overpowered by an animalistic fear which shatters his entire worldview. You were supposed to be a victim. Why are you a threat? Why did reality break? You slowly tighten your grip on his neck, not hard enough to trigger a fight response, but enough to strike a deeper fear in his heart. Kneel. Newman complies with your demand, squealing softly. Now squeal like a piggy, a single tear making its way down the stubble on his cheek. Fuck. Obey. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't kill me, please. You gather your strength and throw him, slamming him against his desk. Fuck multiple times. A born boardroom predator has found his better in the place he's least expected it. You start slowly walking toward him. Stop. I get it. I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. Do what? With shaking hands, he scrambles towards a safe on his shelf. He opens it and takes out some documents inside. This is what you want, right? This is what you want? You rip out the papers from his hands and browse them. These should be enough to, as Kadir would put it, prove his penchant for embezzlement. I'll clean your fucking name. Tell them somebody else. You twist your heel on his hand. He screams. I did it. I'll tell them I did it. And let's just leave in silence. Let's just be like so cool and badass. We'll just walk away. We'll just pull our stiletto out of his hand and walk away. You simply turn around and start walking away. You walk into the, ooh, consider this my resignation letter. Nice. You walk into the elevator, press the ground floor button, and wave at Newman as the doors start closing. He mumbles something under his nose and winces in pain. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you had to say? I didn't say much. I wiped the floor with him and got the documents that should keep him in check. The asshole will be constantly looking behind his shoulder for the rest of his life. Kadir smiles deviously. Looks like you can take care of business, as expected. I don't need to tell you to hang on to those documents, but keep in mind you can use it for more than a security guarantee. We're always looking for more contacts among the big fish. Once you settle in, you can use what you know of Newman to convince the elders that he's better off as your ghoul. Ew, no. Now that's an enticing thought. You're surprised at him suggesting it. No. Gross. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Kadir a good hard look. Why are you not mean to me? I'm gonna say thank you. Thanks. It doesn't feel like a, how should you call it, a very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback, with his usually furrowed brow smoothing out for a moment. Yes, fall in love with me immediately. Then he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt he will go back to decapitating suckers like you anytime now. Damn. Ouch. My feels. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. Ouch. Ah, my heart. Right in the feels. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Kadir. Yeah, you are. Can't say you're fond of him. Nope, that's not true. You're in love with him. What with the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can't say you aren't either. Yes. Yes. You're gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. I understand him. He's rough and tough and not ready to be loved. Oh, God. Okay. So we don't have to rest, so we can still go visit someone else. And I think, if that's okay with everybody in the chat, yeah, love me. Is it sad? Is it sad how desperate I am? I'm like, Kadir, love me, please. Pathetic. Pathetic I am. Okay. If it's okay with everybody, I would like to go and check up on Hope and see what she's doing. I hope that is okay with everyone. I'll give you a minute while I drink some water, if anyone has any serious objections to it. I don't know why the journalist guy's face is on there. Is he not going to give up? The pursuit of Sophie. Okay, everyone okay with Hope? Excellent. Let's go see what she's doing. When you get to the internet cafe, I really hope I got an opportunity to feed. Hope is already waiting on the street. The sight catches you off guard. A part of you suspected she might be more of a shut-in. My haven is my castle type. Schumacher 2002. Perfect timing. We need to go for a ride. Get in, get in, get in. She doesn't wait for your response. Oh, I'm sorry, Dre, said Tameka. I'm sorry. Don't worry, we're gonna visit everybody. I loved Tameka, by the way, and I wish her introduction was longer. She doesn't wait for your response and jumps behind the wheel of a lavender vintage roadster instead. The engine starts roaring expectantly, causing everyone's heads to turn. Not wanting to attract needless attention, you quickly slip into the back seat of the car. The moment you shut the door behind you, the vehicle sets off, tires screeching. Sorry for not bringing you up to speed first, but hey, this is New York City. Everyone's always in a rush, and this is even more true when you're a kindred.
Now allow me to take care of some business and I'll be right there with you. Even as she's zooming past the traffic, she's still on her phone, of course. Nice car. How do you afford that? Thank you. Lavender really brings out its character, doesn't it? About affording things in this city, it's pretty hard. You gotta be at the top of your game at all times. Might as well explain my business plan to you while I'm at it. So another extremely online malk based in New York goes by the name of Dev Null told me to Google Ethereum a few years ago. That way I got into Bitcoin. And I found New Religion, 23-year-old selling visions of governments replaced by benign code and decentralized consensus, masses ruled by algorithms as just as the laws of physics. Was it like Cicada? Idiot man-child investors trying to shape their reality through sheer fanatical zeal and dedicated collectors of something as abstract as rare SHA-256 decryptions. Her driving style is far more aggressive and dangerous than you're comfortable with. Is it just you, or does she peek into the rearview mirror more often than she looks straight ahead? A hyper-speculative environment where nothing has real value. Only abstract beliefs matter and your life savings... Oh, I'm sorry. I was just reading it as her. A hyper-speculative environment where nothing has real value. Only abstract beliefs matter and your life savings can be ruined by a single bullshit tweet. How could I refuse the allure? I started buying low and selling high on a variety of shady 24/7 exchanges that allowed me for 100 times leverage, as in they'd led me 100 times the capital I could bet with. I got lucky at the beginning and kept the ball rolling, shorting and longing impulsively, recklessly. I got to the point where I became too big to fall, and that's when I cashed out. The car comes to an abrupt halt. You bump up against the seat in front of you. Okay, this story will be continued later. We're here, right at our first stop. I'll need you to do me a favor. Where? Where exactly? I'm meeting a guy here. Well, you are, but I'll lend one of my handles to you for a minute. See that weird guy in a Yankees full cap standing around the corner? Approach him. Tell him you're young, hot, petite ingenue. Take a phone he gives you and bring it here. Get going, honey. It's illegal to park here. You jump out of the car and approach the man Hope has pointed out. Not a lot you can tell about him based on his appearance, aside from the fact he seems pretty shady. The guy assumes a comically threatening pose as you approach him. The hell you want? I'm young, hot, petite ingenue. Oh, gotta admit, I had no idea what ingenue means, so I had to make sure. I was about to Google it, you know. He takes a phone out of his pocket and covertly passes it to you. Everything has been prepared and preloaded according to your instructions. Should take about 2 minutes to transfer the data. Now get out of here. The man walks away with an exaggerated hip-hop gait. You hop back into Hope's car. She immediately steps on the gas pedal. You got the phone? You're the best. Pass it to me, please. She connects the two smartphones using a cable and begins some sort of data transfer. Looks like it's an identical model. After a minute or so, the process is complete. All right. Goodbye, lovely. You've served me well. Hope opens the car window, grabs her old phone. You're not an expert to recognize the exact model, but it definitely looks like it had an $800 price slapped on it, and tosses it out the window. Surprised, you look behind you and see a car in the opposite lane running over the abandoned device. Hope notices your quizzical look. That's hilarious. I've been needing a lot of burner phones lately, and I'm not going to use some cheap pieces of shit, so it's a pretty expensive necessity. Crossroads, red light. She takes an advantage of the moment to shoot a driving selfie that strategically excludes her face and upload it to Instagram. You notice her handle there is Versace Beauty. Versace Beauty, something like that. Now, I was telling you a story. Cashing out was the last thing she said. Right. At some point, towards the end of 2017, I became convinced I needed to cash out. There was no way the bubble was going to last forever. I always knew there would be no grapes of wrath for the cryptocurrency era. I would have to be a series of profoundly antisocial, disconnected events.
The whole crypto culture was a decentralized church of lone millennials who rejected all established modern values and kept atoning for the original sin of not buying Bitcoin back in 2013. Another abrupt last-second turn. You get pressed against the window. What the hell is it with her driving style? She's a Malkavian. Bet a life you've never wanted to live anyway and get a chance to win a priceless pile of nothing. Untether yourself from all worldly desires. Find joy in suicidal ideation. To this day, money holds no real value to me. It's as abstract as a video game score, a bunch of numbers on the screen. This joyless world changed me forever. I knew I had to escape. So I took my piles of fictional dollars to a new arena, elite New York City social circles. Not because I wanted to scam them and make more, but because I wanted to finally have some goddamn fun. I mean, of course I had to scam them in the process, but it was only in service of becoming something more than a star, a constellation. Another abrupt stop, this time next to the entrance to a shifty-looking back alley. We seem to spend a lot of our time in back alleys. All right, friend, this time you're leaky gut syndrome, whistleblower extraordinaire. Whenever a press sneak fuck wants a leak, you've got it. Got it? Sorry for putting you out there in my place, but I only personally contact people as a last resort. I clicked the button so I didn't get to finish reading it, because I'm brilliant. And since I've got you, our man is waiting for you in this back alley. He's paying back a favor with a pen drive containing crucial information we need to stay safe in this city. Retrieve it. I will be circling around the area. Make sure we aren't in danger right now. When you're done, get back here and I'll pick you up. Everything clear? Good. You exit the car and see it drive away in a hurry, then head into the narrow passageway. Sure enough, there's a man waiting for you at the end of the back street, unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes with a nervous eye tick. He looks even dodgier than the last guy you met. When you approach, he gives you a mean look. You lost or something? Shady journalist. I'm leaky gut syndrome. You said you got a little something that might interest me? Of course. Straight to the point, are you? All right, then. Clumsily, he produces a USB stick out of his front shirt pocket and holds it before your face. When you reach out to take it, he pulls his hand back and gives you a sly grin. Getting all this data was risky, you know. Miss Montgomery is an unusually secretive person. Digging up dirt on her took more effort than expected. Effort that should be rewarded, I think. The more you ask around about her, the more you expect a letter saying, give up your inquiries, which are completely useless, at your doorstep. Maybe attached to a severed cat head. Catch my drift? The secrecy that surrounds her screams, friends in high places, brave new world order, Illuminati shit, you know? Makes me think I deserve some hazard pay. Reptilians or whatever else people think. Shape-shifting reptilians. Yeah. I don't have any money to give him, so I'm going to refuse and bluff. I ran a background check on you. You're not just some random schmuck off the street. No way you didn't know what you were walking into when you took on this job. And if you really didn't, I doubt you're the kind of journalist who can gather intel worth shit. You're bluffing the hell out of him, unsure if it's going to work. It does. The man spits on the ground angrily and raises his hands in surrender. All right. I shouldn't have put you on the spot like that. My bad, okay? He extends the hand holding a pen drive towards you again. You take it. Oh yeah, one more thing. Not really sure what that's about, but one of my informants claims you might be interested in this. He reaches to his inner jacket pocket and presents you with something wholly unexpected. It's a bag of blood, labeled simply as ABRH. That was the blood type from when we were at the gallery the first time after we became a vampire. We were trying all of the blood in the glasses, and that was the one that tasted good to us. Stop closing this water bottle. You give it a closer look, but that doesn't answer any questions that just appeared in your mind. You peek into the journalist's cold blue eyes and see them twitch uncontrollably. Don't ask me. They said you'll know what to do with it, leaky gut. Come on, take it. I'm gonna drink his blood, because I need to. Hungry. Drink his blood. I'll take whatever I want, twitchy eye. He's only conscious long enough to manage to take one step back. A second later, your fangs are already sunk deep into his neck. His blood has a certain unpleasant je ne sais quoi quality to it and a bitter aftertaste, but it's very strong, quickly intoxicating. As you finish your meal, you feel consumed by euphoria. Having temporarily satisfied your hunger, you put the collapsed man against the wall and look him over one last time. You found him fishy and trusted your instincts. Yummy! Might be hard to explain this to Hope, but you don't feel like you've done anything wrong. Every fiber of your vampiric existence screamed that the journalist is absolutely not to be trusted. Funny, even though you found the man disgusting, he provided you with proper pleasant sustenance. The victim having blue eyes feels important somehow. Ah! So that might be my thing, is I need to feed on someone with blue eyes. That would be interesting. The bag of blood your victim was carrying fell on the ground during your assault. Pick it up. You casually pick it up and leave the alley the way you came from. Hope's car appears behind the corner just as you walk out to the street. It doesn't even fully stop when you approach, but slows down just enough so that you can jump in. The moment you close the door, she presses into the gas pedal with her full strength, causing the engine to roar. Her driving style definitely doesn't reflect how laid back she seems as a person. You throw the pen drive on the seat next to her. Perfect. Any problems? How did the meeting go? You relate the entire back alley encounter to her. Towards the end of the story, you notice she's not staring at the road or her phone, but directly at your face. The realization startles you. You've got that bag of blood with you? You place it on the seat next to her. She peeks at the label. She looks at it again. Then she steps on the brakes. Fuck, 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 fuck! I'm okay. She grabs both the bag and the pen drive you've obtained and throws them out of the window. Wow, okay. Looks like that's her favorite method of taking care of problems. Then why was I here? That bag was a message. AB negative used to be my blood type. It's the rarest one, found in less than 1% of the United States population. Glad you haven't drank it. Who knows what they've done to that bag? Some New York City vets can tell you wild stories about using irradiated blood to locate and kill other kindred. You admit you did feed on the man who gave you the bag instead. Good for you, I suppose. I don't think they've done anything to his blood. That would be some kind of 5-dimensional chess move. But yeah, this contact is compromised and needs to be cut off. Goodbye, my journalist frenemy, and goodbye, dear leaky gut syndrome. You've both outlived your usefulness. After a brief period of hesitation, she deletes the whistleblower extraordinaire account and sighs. Another one bites the dust. Admit it? Admit what? Keep quiet. I'll just keep quiet, because I don't know what I would be admitting to, and I can't make the decision of whether I'd want to or not. I just noticed the kitty hanging from her mirror. Adorable. You decide against telling her that. She's got enough stuff on her plate tonight, and you're strangely confident that you're never going to meet that journo again. Okay. Besides, I've got another story to finish. I was talking about Bitcoin, and then... Where did I stop? Constellation. Pretty sure was the last thing she said. Becoming a constellation. Oh, right. You know who saw the real face of the city? Anna Delvey. Ever heard of her? A Russian working-class girl born as Anna Sorokin. She moved to New York City in 2013 and convinced everyone she's this insanely rich trust fund kid, a wealthy German heiress. Manhattan elites totally fell for it, and they kept buying it for years while she kept swindling them. She only got arrested in 2017 after having stolen almost $300,000. Sorokin created her Delvey persona out of thin air, convinced everyone she was going to set up an art fund, and kept tasting all of life's finest pleasures while being basically broke. She's even made up a fake family financial advisor, then killed him off when he became a liability. And apparently most of her rich victims never admitted to being scammed out of shame. By now you're sure. The way she scrutinizes her surroundings, her reckless driving, she's trying to escape somebody. Now Delvey's locked up with the murderers in Rikers, writing down her memoirs, apparently picking a lot of fights. God bless her heart. She'll forever be an inspiration. But I have more advantages than she ever did. I have my own considerable funds, and I can rely on many more made-up people than just some old-ass financial advisor. A whole bunch of fake content creators and influencers that every rich dumbass wants to get in touch with and collaborate. Makes it super easy to get more money than I invest. You've seen it firsthand, both as a deceiver and the deceived. It's a city of illusions.
make non-existent money, come up with fictional status, play nonsensical Camarilla games. And one day, you might just find yourself at the top. All right, we're reaching our last stop.
You look around. You're coming up on a parking garage.
You're gonna take an elevator to the 70th floor. Give the masked man you meet in front of the door this memory card. It contains, an art house movie I made.
Oh. You mean a vampire movie? By art house, you mean vampire movie?
Yes, a movie you've seen me rehearsing in my haven. You didn't think I was doing that just for show, did you? I found some filthy rich Manhattan pervs who paid a fortune for a convincing vampire cam show. I don't need money, but their IT industry connections gave me an idea. When we give them this memory card, we'll get access to tech that should allow us to take on my biggest enemy in the city. So your nickname this time is going to be
a crash. You are momentarily dazed and can't immediately understand what happened. The first thing you know for sure is, if you were still a normal human being, you'd be dead for sure. You replay the last few seconds in your head. The other car appeared out of nowhere and crashed against into Hope's vehicle at the maximum speed it was able to achieve in this closed-off space. The driver has already managed to kick out the mangled door next to him and stumbled out of his seat. Now he wordlessly approaches the trunk and takes a large caliber silenced pistol out of it. Oh my god. He starts approaching the lavender wreck of Hope's car, obviously ready to finish the job he started. You have to be fast and violent. It's you or him now. Ooh, fortitude, withstand the bullets. Yes. Your instincts take over. You don't come up with a strategy or come up with an optimal route. You simply start running towards the gunman, yelling. For a split second, he's completely dumbfounded. Then he opens fire. The bullets hit you, but that doesn't stop you. You start running. The man pulls the trigger a few more times to no avail. The expression on his face is priceless until you ram your fist straight through it. Awesome. He falls to the ground. You get down on your knees and keep pounding at him until he's reduced to a bloody pulp. You stand up above the gunman's body, trying to calm yourself and your killer instincts. That's when you hear her voice. Ugh. Hope slithers out of her car and sees you standing over your assailant.
Huh, you did pretty good.
She approaches the body of the driver you killed and kicks it so she can take a better look at it. Upon seeing the front of the corpse, she lets out an annoyed grunt.
Knew it would be this asshole. He's been following us all day, and I know just who he belongs to.
Even before she's done talking, she's already trying to reach someone through a video call. Eventually, she succeeds. You see a nonchalant woman in a business casual clothing on her smartphone screen. Kara Montgomery, how can I help you? Something about the 80s. Kara. Hope. Didn't expect to ever reach me through this channel. Didn't expect you to ever reach me through this channel. Have you thought things through? Wait, did something happen? Did something happen? Your fucking ghoul has just tried to kill me, you crazy bitch. That's what fucking happened. Calm yourself, for Christ's sakes. This is a baseless accusation. I know he's from Double Spiral. He's been working in your motherfucking company. Come on. You know I can't be held responsible for independent actions of my subordinates. Why don't we just meet up and talk it over? Hope disconnects the call and instantly blocks Kara from contacting her. Yeah, damn is right. Damn is right. Every time we go do something with Hope, it's damn is appropriate. You corporate shithead. You make me sick. Tired, she turns her gaze to the dead ghoul. I'll dispose of him. Help me put him in my car. 30 seconds later, his body is laying on the back seat of the lavender-colored wreck. Okay, good. You take a look at the scene of carnage in front of you. Every second we're here gets us closer to a serious Masquerade violation. I'll have to exchange my Pom-de-worthy masterpiece for the goods some other time. Okay? She gets behind the wheel and you follow her inside. Meet me in my haven when I let you know it's safe. For now, I need to dump this asshole somewhere, have my car fixed, and plan our counterattack. You guide Hope to your own haven. She drops you off, and before she leaves, she makes what's about to come perfectly clear. If we want to survive in this city, Kara Montgomery needs to die. She disappears into the traffic. You disappear into your place. Oh, right. So apparently we need to rest. She's crazy. I mean, I know she's a Malkavian, but, like, it is hard to keep up with her. Okay. So we've rested, and now we're gonna go visit Tameka, the scarred one. Need a favor. If you're still up for it, come meet me in Prospect Park. Damn. I'm excited. Once again, you cross the gate of Prospect Park and head straight for where you last saw the feral duo. Minutes pass, finding no sign of Tameka, you begin to worry that something might have happened to her. Suddenly, you hear rustling coming from the nearby bushes, and it's not the stray cat kind of rustling either. Let's just call out for Tameka. Tameka? The rustling stops, if only for a second. Suddenly, the bushes part and Raoul walks out, desperately trying to look confident. You wish. Listen, I wanted to have a word before Tam gets here. She seems to like you, for whatever strange reason, but the way I see it, you're a nuisance, at best. At worst, you're a threat. You'll warm up to me. Is there a point to this speech? The point is, Tameka is my sister, in every sense of the word that counts. Anything that happens to her, that I find even remotely your fault, I'm coming for you. Is that clear? I'm not your enemy. Or Tameka's. I don't think you understood. I don't give a fuck what you think you are. What I'm saying is, anything happens to Tameka, I'm holding you accountable. All of a sudden, the sound of footsteps reaches your ears. It's just faint enough to not be ostentatious, but still loud enough to hear. You can tell whoever is approaching wants to make their presence known. Both you and Raoul turn just in time to see Tameka emerge from behind an old sycamore tree. It's hard to tell just how long she's been listening in on your conversation. In any case, she walks up and speaks, addressing no one in particular. Bye, Vampire Penguin. I'm about to end the stream real soon. Thank you for coming by, sweetie. I love you. Did I miss anything? Nothing important. We were just having a chat. Were you now? She gives Raoul a scornful look, like she's about to rub his nose in his own poop. What about? Nothing. You know where to look for me, Tam. Sure do. And with that, Raoul takes his leave. Tameka waits in silence just long enough to make sure he can no longer hear her and addresses you. I have a favor to ask. What is it? I don't want to say this. I mean, this sounds like something a Ventrue would say, but I'm just going to say, what is it? I have an errand to run. I was hoping you'd come with me. There's a place east of here. It's a short walk. We should be back in about 2, maybe 3 hours. 3 hours? You call that short? Sorry. I'm used to much longer distances than that. I forgot not everyone is. You think you can handle it? Should I expect trouble? Sounds kinda shady. You should always expect trouble. But I'm not planning to start any. And so, you head towards the parking lot, accompanied by Tameka and a lot of unanswered questions. Following Tameka's directions, you finally arrive at the Evergreen Cemetery, one of the oldest burying grounds in Brooklyn. You enter through the southwestern gate and follow your companion through the sea of tombstones. It's a nice enough place as far as graveyards go, much less homogenized than the usual flat field littered with identical markers. Tameka confidently presses on, swerving and weaving along a pre-programmed path. It's clear she's been here more than a few times. Finally, she takes a sharp left and takes a few more steps down a gravel walkway, coming to a sudden stop in front of a modest headstone. The inscription reads, Luca Santiago, beloved sister and daughter, born 1991, taken from us too soon. With her eyes fixed on the gravesite, she lets out an absent-minded utterance. I need a moment alone, not long. 5 minutes at most. You look around in search of a good spot to wait for her or pass the time. On the far end of a nearby lawn, you notice a lone bench situated under a weeping willow. Suddenly you hear voices, distant but slowly approaching. Judging by the tone and timbre, you're guessing it's a couple of teenagers out to get their late-night kicks among the dearly departed. Might be a good chance to feed. Then again, you could just pass the time walking around the area. It's actually quite nice, in a dark and somber kind of way. I would take the feeding opportunity. I'm feeling it's going to be bad because there's 2 of them. So I'm not gonna chance it. So I will just wait on that bench by the tree. Nah, I'll take a walk. Let's take a walk. I guess I'll just take a walk. Don't take too long. She throws you a razor-sharp glare. Yeah, like I said, 5 minutes. You spend a few minutes walking around, taking in the sights and reading the various inscriptions on some of the older headstones. Finally, you get back to the tree and find Tameka sitting on the bench. Without a word, you sit next to her. You look over to her, doing your best not to stare. She looks down, crossing her arms and putting her hands on her shoulders. In an instant, the ferocious savage disappears, replaced by a vulnerable young woman. I think I'm done. Who was she? A sister and a friend. Sorry, I'm being hate that word, monosyllabic again, aren't I? She looks away. You can tell she's struggling to open up to you, so you remain silent, trying not to make her uncomfortable. I was embraced not far from here, in this cemetery. A fitting spot, I suppose. It was close to a decade ago. I'd been on the road for a couple of years at that point, hitchhiking from one town to another. New York was supposed to be just another stop. And then I met Jezebel. She was strong, smart, independent, seemed like someone I could trust, someone I could get close to. She never made me feel inadequate or ashamed, and she could hold her own in a fistfight too. Funny thing though, she only wanted to meet during nighttime. Didn't think much of it, even came up with excuses for her, busy, eccentric, whatever worked. Until one night, she sank her teeth into my neck. Is she still around? You keep using the past tense. I take it she's no longer around? She's not dead, if that's what you're asking. At least not that I know of. She left soon after turning me. I think the Conclave of Prague really shook her up. Conclave of Prague? Prague. It's a city in Central Europe. It was supposed to be neutral ground, a good place to discuss politics and strategy. It ended up almost turning into a civil war. Next thing you know, the Anarchs were expunged from the Camarilla. All they had done for our kind, the blood they spilled, didn't amount to a thing. I can't blame Jezebel for feeling betrayed, but yeah, even though I still had Raoul and Luca, I was still furious and terrified. Luca died a few years later. Operation Lights Out, they called it. It was a coordinated assault by the Second Inquisition. Genocide by any other name. Her family got together, bought up a plot, and buried an empty casket. I guess they wanted some closure. Can't fault them for that. Even though she's not really here, I like to come and visit from time to time. It reminds me of who I am, keeps me in check, keeps the beast at bay. Also, this being the place of my embrace, you have to appreciate that level of irony. She straightens up, looks at you as if something just occurred to her. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. One minute I'm all grunts and stares, the next I'm giving you my biography. Guess I'm just tired, being scared, alone. You don't have to be alone. I used to think so, but those were simpler times. At this point, I'm just looking for something to believe in, someone I could give a damn about. No. You're a very nice woman, I'm sure, but no. Right now, I only have my eyes on Kadir and maybe even Aisling Sturbridge, the Tremere woman, but I don't think she's romanceable. Yeah, the Camarilla has its merits. The Anarchs cherish freedom. You have Raoul. She smiles sadly. Will I? Don't get me wrong, Raoul is my brother. The bond between us is not easily broken. But he's got ideas and ambitions of his own. He won't always be there to watch my back. I can't expect that of him. You open your mouth, but before you can make a sound, Tameka motions at you to keep quiet. She lifts her head and sniffs at the air. Her ears perk up, her eyes widen. Suddenly, she pushes you with all of her strength, sending you flying off the bench. Before you even hit the ground, an immense shape flies into view and smashes down into the bench, splintering it into pieces. With the blood surging through your veins, I really wish I had fed on those teenagers, you pounce onto your feet. You look at the mass of fur and muscles that just nearly pulverized you. The creature rears its head, gives you a deranged stare. It then turns to Tameka. She seems utterly terrified, frozen in place, as if she literally just saw a ghost. You notice the creature shift its weight, as if preparing to pounce. Yeah, let's shield Tameka. Feeling your body strengthen with inhuman resilience, you jump in front of the beastly assailant, breaking the force of his attack. Still, the sheer weight of the creature slams you onto the ground. If it wasn't for your supernatural endurance, you're pretty sure your spine would turn to powder. Suddenly, the beast lets out a pained roar. In a flash of consciousness, you see Tameka hunched atop the monster's shoulders, her claws plunged into its eye sockets. Holy crap. Floundering like a fish out of water, the monster finally manages to shake the feral Valkyrie off his back. The creature then turns towards you. For a second or two, it moves its mouth awkwardly, as if trying to remember how to form words. Stay out! My ground! The creature runs off towards a nearby clearing, when all of a sudden a gunshot sends it tumbling onto the ground. A group of well-armed men in body armor emerge from the shadows around it and move in closer in an orderly formation. Well, shit really just hit the fan. We were just having a nice chat. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna retreat and hide. From a group of well-armed men in body armor, I'm not gonna try and fight them. Let's hide. Let's be wieners. Not sure what to make of what's happening, you figure it's best to get out of sight. As you start backing away into the nearby bushes, you notice Tameka following your lead. Oh, thank God. I would feel really bad if I didn't back her up. From the relative safety of the thick foliage, you watch in silence as the group of armed men subdue the creature using steel nets and cattle prods. In the corner of your eye, you catch Tameka looking away as if she found this whole spectacle somehow distasteful. She speaks under her breath, her voice shaking. Can we get out of here? Oh, great. A feral vampire and vampire hunters run. Exactly. It's exactly what I thought. And I did. You see no reason to object. The walk back turns out to be a quiet and somber experience. You both walk in silence, the city a blur of lights and cars careening by. You look over to Tameka. She seems lost in her thoughts. Finally, you decide to break the silence. Yeah, what was that thing? What the hell was that back there? A werewolf? No, it wasn't a werewolf. Come on. No, if it were, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. Still, in a way, that might have been preferable. She rubs her temples, trying to collect her thoughts. Among those of my clan, we tell stories about the Scarred One. The Scarred One? That's the only name he's known by. He's a cautionary tale for young Gangrel. He's what happens when you let the beast take over. I always figured him as more of a metaphor. Seeing him in real life, it's like if a Christian just happened to run into Judas Iscariot one day. And seeing him hunted down by the SI, I don't even know what to think. I don't even know where to start thinking. The Second Inquisition, I assume, is what SI stands for. Deciding to give her some space, you spend the rest of the walk in silence. Soon enough, the familiar tree line of Prospect Park comes into view. You stop by the entrance nearest to Tameka's haven. She keeps walking without a word or so much as a glance in your direction. She stops after several paces and turns back to you. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming with me, but now I have a lot of shit to figure out. Once I do, I'll let you know. And with that, she disappears among the trees. Seeing no point in sticking around, you take your leave. Alrighty, and that is where I am going to end this stream. I had so much fun. There's so much going on. There's so many moving parts. I'm loving this game. I wish I could just stay up and stream it for hours and hours and hours, because I would. But I have real life and responsibilities and horrible things. But I will be streaming this again tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Central Eastern Time, or 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So catch me there. I'll have it up on my channel that says live stream, and you can set a reminder if you want. And yeah, so I hope everybody had a good time watching. I hope to see everybody in the next stream. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.